Way back into the distant past, when Pete was like 15, he joined a mail-in movie club, 11 days for pennies. And now cut to 2025, the movie club caught on to Pete's life, and now they want to punish him, so they trapped him in a room with a bunch of movie tapes. Pete didn't want to pay for the movies he got in the 90s. He'll have to watch random horror tapes and tell us about gore and probably some rape. Now keep in mind, Pete didn't pick. They use random numbers and a long list. He's got to get through every movie, one each day for the time we can't foresee. Helpful snowman roll call. Anxiety. Grouchiness. Entropy. Snow. If you're wondering why he did this song and other FAQ facts, just shut up and listen to this show, or fuck it, take a nice nap. It's Helpful Snowman Podoween 2025.
All right, today's movie, A Closer Walk with Thee. This is the first movie Poonmaster Flex watched with me. She was permitted to visit me in the dungeon and to pick a movie from the pile outside the cell. I'm not totally sure what it was about this one, but I think she picked it because it looked shitty enough to actually be kind of fun, which it was, sort of, but I don't know. Oh, well, I'll let me be the judge after I tell it to you. Maybe I'll know how I feel about it. So the movie is about, we have 4 people who live in a house, stop getting real, and start getting real religious. The house is supposed to be like in a ghetto, and I think it's Los Angeles, but I'm not sure. We know it's the ghetto because, occasionally are piped in like gunshots or, police sirens or something when there's nothing visually happening, but whatever. And these 4 people are running a church. It's 2 girls, 2 guys. They're running a church out of their house, and they have like a weekly congregation of like 5 extras. At least a couple people seem to be literally people off the street, which is fine because, if it's a movie about like this shitty little church and you're like, well, I don't know, I guess a street person might go to a church. So that's believable. B, if everyone's getting paid, you know what I mean? Maybe this is the answer to poverty, is like, Hollywood, you have to hire a certain number of street people if your movie requires over X number of extras. You know what I mean? You have to hire them and then figure out how to make it work. So though it's 2 girls, I'm going to call, there's Nightmare Before Christmas, there's Churchy Girl, there's our hero who I'm going to call Twink, and then there's the pastor who is like a couple years older than the Twink. Just kind of generic, handsome pastor guy. So they do some baptisms. They help this gangster girl who's part of some hardcore gang, or maybe she's like a prostitute or something. I'm not totally sure. And I know we use the term sex worker, but like, is it still a sex worker if it's against the person's will? You know what I mean? As it seems to be in this movie. Like, I don't know that I'd call myself a library worker if I was chained to the desk and forced to do the job. Or maybe I wouldn't be concerned about the terminology of it. I don't know. Like literally chained, not just by the need to eat food and have health insurance. So then our hero, Twink, sees the pastor in the shower. And it's like the pastor's in the shower and he's showering with the shower door half open like a goddamn animal. No one would ever do this, right? No one would ever shower like that. But this is obviously so that we and Twink can see his butt. And, this being a horror movie, the genre has done far more improbable things to get in some nudity, right? Like, I always have at the top of my list, there's a Friday the 13th movie where a girl just takes her clothes off and walks into the water to skinny dip at night and then gets out and puts her clothes back on. It has nothing to do with the plot or anything like that. It's just like, well, we gotta get some boobs in here somehow. Probably my favorite, though, is Leprechaun in Space, where they come across an alien who just looks like a lady. You know what I mean? And she's flashing her boobs at everyone all the time because she's like, in my alien culture, that's like the ultimate sign of threat. It's like a kiss of death. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, I guess some writer figured out how to put boobs in this movie in a very awkward way that I kind of love it. So our hero sees the pastor's butt, starts slapping himself around downstairs, and then one of the two girls, the churchy girl, catches him. So then it kind of turns out that Twink is possessed, probably, maybe. This is where the movie gets confusing, and it only gets more confusing. You know, as confused as Twink seems to be about his sexuality, I was more confused about his sexuality. So Twink says he's possessed, and he acts possessed, but it's not 100% clear if he's possessed or just gay and pretending to be possessed because that's better for him than the admission that he's gay, considering the situation he's in, right? Because being possessed, you know, the view of the church, as I understand it, is that you were possessed and that's not your fault. Whereas, I guess, you're gay, that is your fault. I don't make the rules, guys. I do not make these rules. So then the pastor exorcises the Twink and everything's cool. But then Twink gets repossessed conveniently after he sees the pastor making out with the churchy girl. Or maybe the Twink just continues to be gay and things continue to get out of hand. Kind of unclear. So we get this scene where they're doing the Twink and the pastor are. I hope Twink's not like a horribly offensive term, but that's how I would describe this character. They're doing like work on the outside of the house, and the pastor gets a sliver, and the Twink is like, "Oh, I have this folding knife," you know, and he takes out a pocket knife that's maybe 2 inches. The blade is like maybe 2 inches. It's tiny, right? It's like a pinky finger of a knife. And, you know, he uses that to dig out the splinter or whatever, which is a complete dad move that I've never understood even as an adult. I'm like, so you're going to use a knife. You're just going to stab it out of me. This doesn't make any sense. I have a sliver and that sucks, but I don't know that stabbing me or slicing me is going to improve the situation. So, you know, and he tells some dumb backstory about this tiny little knife, right?
Dude, where'd you get this?
I won it at MTYC, the frisbee golf thing.
Oh shoot, that's right, Frolf Champ 08.
You know it.
We are marching in the light of Jesus, marching in the light of God. Dude, please tell me you still have that hacky sack.
No, I kicked it into the river because I'm super coordinated.
That's a bummer. I was gonna say we should play right now.
I know.
Here.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. There it is.
You can get it?
I don't know. It's in there pretty deep.
Come on. Use that Frolf spirit. Dude, you would make a terrible surgeon. Look how shaky your hands are.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Uh-huh. You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, sorry.
Yep. Dang. That's a big one.
So then a gangster guy who is mad that they baptized the gangster girl walks into this house church to kill everyone with a machete. But the Twink kills him with the tiny pocket knife. And then the Twink decides to just continue killing everyone in the house with the tiny pocket knife, even though a machete is right there. Doesn't really make a ton of sense, right? It's also weird because it's like they laid this knife in like it's Chekhov's gun, you know, and you're like, well, we've established the knife, so now the knife can be used to kill. But you're like, I mean, that's not a very impressive knife to use to kill. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you a suggestion. Gangster guy comes with a machete. The cops drive by, scare him off. He leaves a machete on the porch. So then they bring it in the house and everybody's like, oh my God, look at this thing. You know what I mean? And they're like, haha, let's put it above the fireplace. That's funny. And then it's there the whole time. And you're like, okay. And then, he uses it to kill everyone for some reason. So the end of the movie, the twink has killed everyone in the house, runs away. And at the end, we see that he's joined another flock in another house church and seems to be quite enamored of another young acoustic guitar playing pastor guy, which as I understand is youth pastor starter kit is an acoustic guitar and probably a Frisbee. So here's what's weird about this movie, everybody. I honestly have no idea if this is pro-Jesus, anti-Jesus, pro-gay, anti-gay, none or all of the above. It doesn't have to be any or all of those things. It's just very difficult to parse what the movie was saying. Is being gay bad? Are churches evil? What's happening? It didn't really seem to make churches or churchy people seem evil. You know what I mean? Because I was like, well, the worst thing that happened was the pastor made out with the churchy girl. And there's maybe a power dynamic issue there, but not a major one. You know what I mean? He's probably 2 years older than she is. And I don't know if pastors are supposed to do that or not, but that doesn't seem like a wild thing. And, the person perpetrating the worst things is the gay / possessed person. And, I don't know, the churchy people are mostly kind of nice to him about it. Whatever. It's very difficult to tell. You know what I mean? So I was kind of tempted to call the movie anti-gay though. But here's the thing. I looked up some stuff. So AJ Knight was the main driving force behind the film and was the star of the film. And here's what his bio says. AJ Knight is a rosy-cheeked creator, screenwriter, and actor living in Los Angeles who still daydreams about the fact that he worked on a Cher music video. I'm just going to put up a finger for everything that makes me think. Well, over the years, he's been among the production team for musicians Lizzo and the Jonas Brothers, acted in films and commercials, and proudly made a fool of himself dancing as a music video star. While writing the queer show of his dreams, Daisy Boy, he also created The Life of a Daisy, an inclusive interview series that explores coming out, living life unapologetically, and advice you'd give to your younger self. Ultimately, his dream in life is to empower people, especially young queer people, to celebrate what makes them different and to work with Cher again, TBH. Self-written biography. So, it seems very fair to say this movie was created from a queer perspective. You know what I mean? So, I'm so torn. I'm so torn because it's on one hand, I want movies that are more complex and maybe not as straightforward as religion bad or gay bad, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, I think this one might be ambiguous not because that was the intent, but because it was sort of confused about its own narrative. It didn't really know what it wanted to say. And so how to say it becomes even another layer of confusion on this confusing layer cake, which I guess in this case would have a picture of a naked pastor showering. I don't know. It just felt like it had something to say, but it didn't have the language to express it or something. Also, not very spoopy. Just if we're talking about that, it's Podoween. The possession was not scary. The possession mostly manifested as, the twink guy saying gay things, coming on to the pastor and so on. And the pastor doing things like, I'm going to take off my belt, to tie him up or whatever. And you're like, I don't know if that's the way to deal with this particular flavor of possession, but okay. So the rating system I'm using today is how many Hail Marys I would say in order not to watch it again. I had to look up Hail Marys because I don't actually know how to say one. So I think I'd do 10 Hail Marys to get out of this one. I mean, A Closer Walk with Thee, it had a certain shitty movie charm to it, and maybe a second viewing would let me get a little better insight into how gay or not gay the movie really was. I'd be more attuned to what I was looking for. But I think it'd feel like wiping your ass for the second time after just dropping an absolutely heinous shit and kind of pretending that you were pretty sure you'd already cleaned everything up, but you're going to go for a second wipe, just in the very off chance that I missed something. You know what I mean? When the reality is, you're just getting yourself right back into a confusing mess, and it's nowhere near over. From the second wipe is not going to nearly clear things up as much as you're hoping.
It's helpful snowman Podoween 2025.